Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Today, I'm joined by Simon Holzapfel, the co-founder and CFO of Leaf Lab, and a leader at the intersection of education, business, and innovation. With 15 years in senior roles, Simon separates strategy from tactics and accelerates short-cycle decision-making. That was not easy for me to say. He's built agile learning systems that doubled applications, secured record campaigns, and now gives students real-world hands-on experience. In this conversation today, let's expect practical insights on building adaptable teams, mission-driven organizations, and future-ready workforces. It'll be delivered with humor, clarity, and a touch of curiosity. Simon, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's great to be here. I'm excited to chat with you and your audience.
I am looking forward to this conversation. So, Simon, we start every conversation with, will you describe for us what you're doing today and why the work is so important now?
Sure. So with the team of people that I work with, we're trying to fix a currently broken junction box in the future workforce. The junction box used to look like college into something corporate. And that was like a reasonable, like you had pretty good odds there. We see that coupling is just falling apart. And frankly, I saw it with my own kids. My son is now in his third year of a $90,000 a year institution. We love paying it because he's doing great. It's also not a small amount of money. And we're just lucky that for us, we can, for a couple of years, just swallow the debt and whatever. But lots of people can't do that. And so my business partners and I were like, look, there's got to be a better way. And so we started building, we're all weirdos in a way. I can explain my trajectory, and those are the partners to figure out how do you cobble together a learning experience for a young person that really gets them ready to have a job of a specific sort of interface like we're on right now, which is a distributed team.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that, because the future of work itself is also changing. And so in and amongst everything that you're facing when you're talking about education translating into a corporate job and a future workforce, we have other things that are influencing the outcomes. Our educational system is not awesome. We have AI on the horizon. Well, it's not on the horizon. It's here playing with us every day. Yeah, no, it's here. It's part of the world I live in. I can't function without them anymore. But
Me
it's
neither.
changing everything for the next generation workforce. So that's a big, I'm going to be punny for a minute. That's a big apple to take a bite out of. How did you start? I'm
Yep.
good, right?
I love it. Love it.
So it's a big apple.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about what you're building with Leaf Lab and how that's going to actually make an impact.
Sure. And it might be good to just back up because some of the things that can I use the word that you used earlier to describe some of our like wider environmental challenges, the BSC?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So batshit crazy is not limited just to our political domain. It exists in a lot of other places as well. And it's sad because basically it doesn't advance us as a nation where we need to go. Just doesn't. It just like, obviously that's not it. Time to pivot to something else. Luckily, there is a human being walking the earth, about 85 years old, named Tom Gilb, Gilb. He's like Gandalf, Dumbledore, and maybe some sort of great leader of the past, all rolled into one. He has written over 80 books. He wrote 80 books. 80. And your audience can look him up on Wikipedia and see why he's legendary. So Tom Gilb. He's become a friend of mine and a mentor to me. He is one of those people who's like, no. And he's got, 20 books of just case studies of, I trained 20,000 people at Intel. I solved this problem for McDonnell Douglas in the 60s. I went to Boeing in 1972 and got something unplugged. Like, he's that kind of guy. So humble. And he's
If only there were more people like that in our world today.
Yes. And the magic of Tom is all of his stuff is open source. It's all also in academic journals because, as all of us who have tuition paying relatives know, right, there's some real stuff going on here and the stakes are high. So what we're trying to do is build low cost entry and exposure to real work from real companies that are the partners of the lab. So that was a long-winded, so let me get really, really specific. The lab is free. And so I'll give you the links and stuff. So the lab is free for young people, high school, college aged, or in any sort of graduate program. So the requirement is you got to be enrolled in something. We're very not picky. There's a small, and this is unpaid, it's a small time commitment, 2 to 5 hours a week, because everyone's got a side hustle, and we want to become your best side hustle so that you spend time with us doing this work because it's just kind of awesome. We're mostly led by young women.
Mm.
The lab is mostly led by young women and a fair piece of young women of color. Luckily, Tom Gilb is like grandpa. So you point the skeptical young person at this man and his resume, who's like, yep, we're basically just doing what he said you should do in an age appropriate version for young people. So that's what I wake up doing. It's usually what I wake up and then think about at the middle of the night, at times when I wish I was asleep or someone else near me wishes I was asleep. Ow. Sorry. So yeah.
Well, absolutely. I think every entrepreneur, business owner, leader can empathize with it that somebody next to us would really prefer that we were still asleep at 2 a.m. Simon, the impact of work is very personal for you. I mean, obviously, you love what you're doing and you're being disruptive to make the positive impact for future generations in the workforce. But this ties back to some very strong commitments in your family to
Yeah.
building
Yeah.
businesses. So
That's
would
true.
you tell me the story about the box
Oh yeah,
sitting
yeah,
behind
yeah,
you?
yeah, yes. Oh my gosh, you see how scatterbrained I can be. Like I literally bring this thing in, and I'm like, hey, let's talk about this, and then I forget. Yeah, so this is a piece. This is oak. This oak tree grew in Ohio around 1910. It was cut down and turned into this gorgeous toolbox, and this toolbox was the sign of a successful tool and die machinist 120 years ago. So 120 years ago, that was peak industrial age. So a tool and die machinist was someone who knew how to work in metal and make the machines that made machines. And one of those guys was my grandfather, Jean-Baptiste Chassé, who was Quebecois and moved with a lot of other Quebecois down to the US to get work. So he was very much an outsider, but this toolbox got him a good job. It got him, by the time he was an old man, a little cheap Porsche that he could drive around and was red, and he felt like a king in his neighborhood. So he was good, so this was good to him. He then gave it to my mom. My mom used this as an artist business in a business that she ran with my dad. And, it brought great things to our family there because it provided a livelihood literally for me and my brother. So this thing was our lunchbox and our toolbox. And then when she retired, she gave it to me. I don't work in metal or wood. I work in teams because in this digital world, if you can get people to be good together in digital formats like this, you can create stupendous amounts of value if you have clear leadership and a healthy culture.
And that's a fantastic story. Generational learning is something that I personally have benefited from and had opportunities. There was a trucking company that was in the family for 3 generations, and
Cool.
generation number 4 kind of went, and I'm part of generation number 4. So I say that tongue in cheek because it was not something that was meaningful to me, but
Yep. Yep.
that connection is, and it's really, really important and impactful. And I have to imagine that as you're connecting and working with the students who may not have that history, that generational touch to the impact of real work, that it might make some interesting connection points for them to stop and think through, wow, this is possible. What I do today can impact the future.
Bingo.
Yes?
That is
Yeah.
that you just nailed it. If we had a marketing person, they would have come up with exactly what you just said, Lisa. Yep. Were you in marketing?
Never once.
Okay, well, okay, maybe you should have been.
Yeah.
Because that's it. Like that you crushed it. Like you just spoke what we've been trying to get into our slide deck for this investor pitch we're going to be doing for quite a while. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Residuals will be accepted.
Okay, very good. And we send them in liquid, solid, and other forms. So just let us know.
Fantastic. Some of my favorite things come that way. What was the catalyst for you to start down the path of the lab?
Frustration and aggravation. And that's only half true, really. I mean, most of the frustration was with myself for just being impatient and stupid. If I'm going to be really honest, kind of looking back on how did we get here? Because what it came down to was I had a great chance and I led a school in the Hudson Valley, in the upper Hudson River Valley. We're doing great stuff, doing great stuff. We had a couple of very big tremors hit the market that we were in, and it basically knocked out 1.5 of our engines. And so I had a deep attachment to this place and had to resign. And it was like heartbreaking beyond heartbreaking. However, in that process, I met these group of people and sort of through this long serendipitous chain ended up at the Boston University Agile Innovation Lab, where I then met my current business partner, Jeff. And I can, I'll cut it short there because this may not be interesting to your audience, but it just took a long chain of persistence and serendipity and just believing in people and believing, frankly, just in the end in the power of teams, period.
That's the second time you've mentioned teams, right? So what you do today as opposed to working with metal or working with art, right? You are working with people, right? They are your matter in teams, and
Mhm.
that the power of team is so impactful. You even mentioned that in this digital space, the way that you and I are interacting today is incredibly powerful. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because there are some
Yeah.
blowhards out there who tell us that this doesn't work. And we have large corporate CEOs of large enterprise companies who are really old and really, really, really don't know how much the world has changed around them, telling us that virtual digital interaction and teams don't work, that butts need to be in seats in buildings so that somebody can like take attendance. Sorry, let's blend
Yes.
metaphor. School,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
treat
Yes.
treat professional human beings like they're school age children.
Correct.
And it drives me crazy. So with the work that you were doing at Boston in the
Yep.
innovation labs, what's brought into the work that you're doing today, let's talk about the power of digital teams.
Sure. Oh my gosh. I mean, the problem when I get on this topic is I tend to not stop for a while because what makes me furious is how much value, vocational value is being wasted every day because there's skillions of people with some gray hair who, given the right circumstances in a platform like this, could talk to someone with no gray hair who wants to learn about something that's going to make one of them feel better, money, whatever. They can make that trade for no cost, like we're doing right now. You either believe it's true or you don't. It's going to eat you alive. So it's like I just don't have arguments anymore with people like that because it's like I don't argue with people who think the Earth is flat.
Well,
I don't
there's a
spend
point
time
in
doing that.
time, right? There's a well, gosh, Simon, we're going everywhere, right? So having an
Sorry.
argument gets nobody anywhere, right? If I am
No.
trying to change your mind, I will fail 100% of the time that I attempt it. Whether we're
Yes.
trying to have an open discourse and understand and be curious about each other's perspective without having to say that my way is right and your way is wrong is an art form that we've lost holistically, I fear,
Hmm. Yep.
and hope for a renaissance of actual, like, thinking that may come back in the future.
Critical thinking. Yep.
Thank you. I was
Yeah.
struggling there for the phrase
Yeah.
I was looking
Critical
for.
thinking. Yeah.
Critical
That's it.
thinking skills are grossly lacking.
Hmm.
But you are giving and creating this lab environment where students, whether high school or college, even graduate age, so you've got multiple perspectives inside of the student body you're serving,
Yes. Yep.
also representing different generational stages, because I'm just kind of doing some math in my head, and we've got
Hmm.
multiple generations in that age range,
Hmm.
led by young women
Yep.
who,
Primarily.
what is the outcome of the lab experience for them?
Sure. And so I should explain with a lot more precision the value of the experience that the students are having, just to your point, because there is so much crazy assness and just so much hokum and BSery. And so I'll just be very specific about what creates business value. And I would just refer your audience again to Tom Gilb. So value engineering, everything he's written about value engineering is essentially what students in the lab learn. We also teach these things to CEOs of very large companies. It's a different thing, right? When you work with them, it's different. So like one of my partners ran the full, he worked for Snapple Dr. Pepper. His job was to hire 10,000 people a year. He had the challenge of it was taking 6 weeks from someone says they need someone to they're walking in the door. 6 weeks. They said to him, cut it in half 5 times, and he did. So it went 3, 1.5, 0.75. He got it down to 24 hours.
That is fantastical process re-engineering, and
Precisely.
value stream mapping, right? Because it's very specific that there is a
Value
need.
stream mapping. That's the magic word. So basically what the lab is a place to do is to learn value stream mapping. If I had to say it in a sentence to your audience, if you know what value stream mapping is, just imagine some strange people like me who love lean and agile and this stuff decided, you know what? Because of digital, we're going to open this school, and we've got kids. You can see on our website, we've got kids from the top universities in the country having a lot of fun because we bring in business problems from companies that are back burner projects, back burner projects, back burner projects, so that the students can try 6, 7, 8 times and not feel rushed. Because how do you make someone suck? Rush them. How do you take a tentative college kid and be like, get ready to swim in this hostile environment, rush them and tell them it's high stakes, right? Simple, simple, simple instructional design. That's how the lab works.
And what's so impactful about that, as those of us who are of a certain age, right, came into a workforce that demanded that tasks would be thrown at us with unrealistic expectations. And our response was, please, sir, may I have some more? And we did it for the first 20 years of our professional existence until we kind of all went, I'm tired. I'm over
Yeah.
it. I'm going
This
to open my own business because there's a better way of doing this. And
yes.
now we have an onset of a couple of generations coming into the workforce saying, are you people batshit crazy? Yes,
Yep.
we were.
We
And
were.
there is
We
a
were.
better way to do it. And we do
Yes.
not have to work to burn out.
Nope.
So
Nope.
that the skill set of value engineering is a fantastic thing because while it is taught in specialty programs, it's
Mm-hmm.
not taught in high school, right? And it could be, and it should be, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this ties into that little thing we were stammering over earlier, critical thinking and
Yes.
being able to ask good questions.
Yes.
Wow,
Yep. Because
what an
once you
impact.
can, and then we have another program where you learn product development. So it's a 24-week program of product development, and you learn how to think like a product owner, and you manage. So and then yeah. Yep.
I have some
So
previous clients who need to go through that program.
so we built this again, Tom Gilb, and we're just some nuts guys. We're like Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers, who are on NPR, who had the car talk show. We're basically like that. We got to the place where we needed to be professionally, that we were like, okay, we hate the purposelessness that our lives could be for a long time. F that. We're going to suck it up for a while. We're going to build this thing right from the bottom up. And then we're going to go talk to business schools and other guidance counselors and be like, look, here's what Tom Gilb's 80 books say you should be teaching in school for people who plan to have a family, house themselves, feed themselves, and wipe their own butts in the future for a while to come. Let's go that way. And let's just define value. So value stream mapping and value engineering, this is not wizardry. It's not. It's a systematic way of saying, let's get something better by not just being idiots and working as a team. It's like, ah.
It
So
is
this is why I get
mind-boggling.
steamed up about this. So I'm going to just settle down a little bit. I apologize.
No, it's all good. We're having good fun. So, audience, you've also heard me talk about this in other contexts. Value is defined by our customers.
Amen.
We don't know what the value of our products and services are. They actually have to tell us if it's there or it's not there. And so the work that the lab is doing with students in high school, undergrad, and
Mhm,
graduate school levels, right, is teaching a
mhm,
skill set that so many of us really did learn the hard way. Simon, if you've piqued the interest and the curiosity of members of the audience, how do they
mm.
find you or more about Leaf Lab?
Sure. So Leaf Lab is on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. All my business partners, we're all on LinkedIn. So we party with people on LinkedIn. We'd love to see you on LinkedIn. So that's it. And you have my email, so please feel free to go that way. And I check my email regularly, and that way I'm millennial in my, I'm just not going to work 60 hours a week and smile. And like, I'm done with that. So I'm totally millennial in that way. I'm also better on email than most millennials I've met. Just saying.
Well, because you have the experience of not actually being a millennial.
Yeah.
We know how to
Yes, and
use
I love
email.
millennials. So, like, I'm not
Absolutely.
hating on them. I'm just saying, so this is the funny thing, because this is like, I can just briefly point to the toolbox and this very funny story that my grandfather told me about being a smartass. And he said, let me tell you the story of Chesterton's fence. Your audience can go look this up. Chesterton's fence is this sort of old working class idea that you shouldn't spend time taking down a fence post if you don't know what it was there to begin with. Like, don't do that. A little bit of humility. That's it. That's the essence of the mindset shift that if you and I and your audience can propagate, a lot of things will get better quickly and no one has to tell anyone else what to do because you just clarified the value. It's the other V word. It's the other V word. You know, like we need the value monologues to go along with the other V word monologues.
Audience, we have been on a fantastic journey with Simon today and talking about what they're building with Leaf Lab, which is free to students so that they can start to learn skills and capabilities that will actually drive, wait for it, value in their life and in their career so that they can build a family, take care of a family, and heaven forbid, create children in the next generations who understand what it means to get shit done. Well, the seed for all of this started with the toolbox that Simon shared with us that his grandfather had built and created for his tool and die business, the artistry that his mother brought to it, and the fact that the connection that it brings to him. And even though it literally is made of wood and the work that he does is based on all people and mostly a digital format, the threads and the themes remain the same. We are about driving value. And when we understand how to do that, we can change anything. Simon, thank you for so much fun and some good laughs along the way. And audience members, you know the rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.